Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, everybody? Brendon and Isaiah back on the streaming train. It's been way too long. What's up? How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling this morning? I'm been trying to get over a cold the last I don't know 3 weeks now, so you'll have to excuse me if I do a little coughing and my throat sounds a little wheezy. So, but we're gonna do art nonetheless. Good morning. What's up, everybody? I guess I should turn on the screen, huh? Hey, yo. Good morrow. Good morning. Where is the camera? What's up, everybody? Cheers. Here's to the morning coffee. Oh, gotta love that first taste of coffee in the morning. All right. What's going on? So today, well, let's leave off where we left off last time, which was we finished up exporting or prepping the export for the Horizon Zero Dawn character. So that's pretty much where that project was going to end in ZBrush, and especially for ZBrush streaming on Pixelogic's channel, I'm going to leave that project to finish up on my own channel. So what does that mean? Now we get to play with new stuff. So what I like to do every once in a while is just go back and start doing some anatomy practice again. If it's been too long, I like going back and just banging out some anatomy. So I'm going to show you guys today how I go about just either starting fresh when you're learning anatomy, or exercises that I end up doing kind of again and again just to refresh my own memory on how things go. So we're just going to throw a bunch of muscles on this guy and talk about anatomy and show you guys how I kind of go about doing that. Yeah. So how did I get here? This is really, really quick and easy. This was just the Ryan Kingsling skeleton with a couple of modifications. His skeleton was a female skeleton, and what I did was I took it and brought it back to more of a male skeleton. So to get there, I'll show you guys how I did. So we just go into tools. You can just grab the Ryan Kinsling anatomy model, which is amazing. This thing is freaking awesome. Let's just get rid of these real quick. Okay. So this thing is absolutely amazing. If you want to look at reference, Ryan did an absolutely amazing yeah, he did an absolutely amazing job. So what I like to do is let's just grab the skeleton, right? So we go in here, we hit shift click on the eyeballs, and then just turn the skeleton on, and then I'll usually go into Z plugin, subtool master, and then just do delete invisible. It's in solo mode. Delete invisible. There we go. So this is a really, really quick way to get a skeleton, but as you all know, the male skeleton and the female skeleton, the typical skeleton, varies a bit. Usually, the hips are the ilium and the hips are kicked out more for the female. The sacrum, I think that's the sacrum. Oh, so there's a little caveat. I am no Scott Eaton. I'm no Ryan Kinsling. I'm no Raf Grassetti. So when I'm teaching or when I'm showing, this is just my own personal practice. It's going to be kind of quick and dirty. It's not going to be the exact this is the exact millimeter that it connects to the humerus. This is kind of just a very tangible way to do this. So it's going to be kind of quick and dirty, but it's the way that I practice. What's up, guys? All right. So anyways, some quick differences. Usually the rib cage is a little bit thinner on a female. The hips are kicked out a little bit, and I believe that's the sacrum. Is that the sacrum? Yeah, that's a little bit wider. So what I did was I just kind of tweaked that a little bit to get to my male proportion, which is this one. You can see kind of the differences here. So that's what I did. Super easy, super quick. Okay. So usually what I'll do is I'll just start blocking in. I usually start with the chest area, and then go down to the arms, and then we'll kind of fill this out. So this is what I'm going to try to get to today. And then we'll see where 2 hours gets while we're chatting and stuff. Okay. So usually what I'll do, I'll just come in and do brush, insert, grab some insert primitives. I'll just grab a sphere, and then we'll go from there. All right. Take one of those bad boys, and then we'll just do split unmask points. Grab this, and then I'll usually just throw a quick data mesh on it. And now we've got pectorals. Yes. So what I just like super quick blocking in stuff. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but this is just a study, right? So I want to make sure that I kind of maximize my time and effort for learning. So what am I looking at? So where's my reference, right? So what I usually do is I always grab, first off, if you guys don't have Raf Grassetti's anatomy tools, gotta take a look at that. This thing is freaking awesome. So I'm gonna throw his link up into the chat. Definitely check out his stuff. It's absolutely amazing. He's got some great stuff. All this reference I use all the time. The other reference that I almost always use when I'm doing this is just human muscle anatomy insertion points. So to me, it's really important to know where the muscles start and where they end, right? So like if I'm looking at the bicep, right, I want to know where those connect to each side, right? So I want to know what the mechanics are. So I usually will just leave this up, and then a lot of times it'll just be like, oh, okay, I want to look at the trapezius, right, where the trapezius is. Okay, connects to the spine of the scapula here, connects to the base of the skull up here, and it goes all the way down, right? So I use this a lot when I'm doing this. So I'll throw this link up here too if you guys want it. Yeah, that didn't really work, but okay. Yeah, let me take a look at that book. Usually, if Joe recommends something, it's pretty solid. Yeah, that's a good one. The other ones are like Bridgman, like all the old classics are really good as well. So yeah, that's definitely a good one. I'd second that. Okay, so let's look at not the trapezius. What's up, Brabot? How you doing? We're gonna look at the where the hell is it? Pectoralis Major. All right, so I'm looking at where they insert. Right, so the important thing is that it's made up of a couple of different pieces. So it's got the Pectoralis Major is kind of this outside part. The minor is actually sits underneath. I'm not going to worry about the Pectoralis Minor. I'm just going to do the Major, which is this muscle, right? So the important thing is that it connects to the humerus just below the knuckle, I guess you could say. Right. And the important thing is where it inserts on the rib cage, right? So it goes all the way down and then through the ribs down through here, right? So I'm just going to kind of block that in super quick. Where'd my pen go? Always happy to answer questions as I go, so if you guys feel like you've got some, be happy to answer. Right, so this comes down, connects to the sternum through here, all the way up to the clavicle. Right, and then this is going to connect yeah, right, Rybot? It's really cool, man. Right? So that's pretty much what that's doing. There's another part. So then I'll usually come in with like a trim dynamic and then just kind of knock some of this stuff down. Super easy. Let's redynamesh that real quick. I like trying to flatten a lot of this stuff out. Yeah, already bone model, just need to be skin. This I'm just started off with the Ryan Kinsling skeleton that comes with ZBrush, which is actually this one. Just a couple little modifications. This is more of a female torso skeleton, so just made some adjustments to get back to male proportions here. All right, so this is come up this way. Right, so that's most of it here, and then I'm going to do a separate one for the one where it connects to the clavicle. So let's just, again, this is just kind of quick and dirty, just for my own. Oh yeah, that model is amazing, so good. This is just for my own practice. You know, everything is, it's not going to be exactly perfect. I'm not going to be taking, you know, a couple of weeks to do this. I really just kind of want to bang this stuff out real quick. Okay, so we got that. Let's go back to this guy. I'm going to do another brush insert, grab my primitive, and then I'll throw another one right on here like this. Alright, let's do split unmasked, and then we'll go back to this guy. We'll do a quick dynamesh, and then boom. Okay. Kind of bring this guy here. Alright, so we got another piece that connects to the clavicle. Let's see if we can get a good image of it. Live workshop, dude, what's up, buddy? Manny, right? How you doing, man? Alright, let's see if I can find one that looks... Alright, so here's a little bit better of one, right? So we've got a majority of the pectoral that connects to the sternum, and then down through the ribs on the bottom. We've also got a very a nice little piece that connects right to the clavicle. Right? So that's what this piece is going to be. So we're just going to grab this. It's going to connect pretty much to the same spot. Okay, let's redynamesh. Let's sculpt that in a little bit. Alright, so that connects like that. Let's just bring this out real quick. Alright, and the other thing that I like doing real quick is just adding a little bit of striations to the muscle, just to kind of get away from more of the blocky tube look and a little bit more towards what the muscle actually looks like. And this is pretty much going to be a straight shot, actually. Alright, so it ends up connecting there. Pretty much a straight shot all the way to the humerus there. Like that. And then let's grab this dude. Maybe we'll just grab... Good, man. Good. It's been a while, dude. Alright, so we've got... So when we look at this, right, we've got the muscle flow. Let's see if we can get a good one here. Alright, so the muscle flow... maybe this one's a little better. Nah. Yeah, this one's fine. So right, this one goes, it's like under, over, under. So usually what I'll do is, yeah, I do mostly character work, but I also do other work like props and weapons and stuff too. So usually I do something like that, just super quick and dirty. Okay, and all this is going to get tucked under the deltoid. Yeah, I know, right? Well, it was more EA than Disney. Disney really didn't have much to do with that decision. That was all EA's decision. If you guys don't know, I was actually at Visceral when EA decided to close it. That was very fun and not really fun. Interesting times to be around. Anyways, yes, I actually just inked a deal with Crystal Dynamics as a character artist in Redwood City. Okay, now let's look at Deltoid. Very, very happy to have landed that. I'm really, really excited to be a part of that team over at Crystal Dynamics. Really, really excited. Alright, let's look at the deltoid now. Deltoid. So deltoid's made up of 3 major pieces, right? We got the front, we got the middle, and then the back. The front will, let's see if we can hear, right? It'll attach to the rest of the clavicle here. The back one will attach to the spine of the scapula. Alright, so let's block those guys in real quick. Yeah, it was the EA decided to shut down Visceral Studios. They were working on, or we were, say we, excuse me. We were working on a Star Wars game, fairly large one, actually. Come on, thank you. Sucked, man. That was a lot of fun to work on. Yo, what's up, Joanna? Guto. How you doing? Yes, anatomy. Kind of quick and dirty anatomy, though. Nothing super crazy. It's just kind of more of like my own personal study habits. Okay, so we got 3 major ones, right? 3 major pieces. So we're just gonna go BI, insert mesh. We're just gonna grab one of these guys. We're gonna do split unmasked. Yes, Mordekainer, Crystal Dynamics. They're the guys that did all of the Tomb Raiders. And they actually made an announcement of the game that they're working on now. It's a big Avengers game. Actually, you know what? Let me... Let me just do something here real quick. I'll show you the project that I'm working on. So this is the announcement for the project that I'll be joining the team on currently. You guys can mull over that one for a couple minutes while I continue this, if you'd like. No, there we go. Yeah, that's better. Dynamesh that one. No, let's go back to move. Okay, good. All right. So I'm just gonna work on the front piece of the deltoid. So I'm gonna also find out where it inserts to the humerus. So I'm looking at okay, cool. I'll be here. Where does it connect to the humerus is where I'm looking at. Alright, almost about halfway down is what I'm thinking. Right? Maybe a third. We'll see. Okay, we'll start there. And then this is the type of stuff that you know, when you're studying, you know, you take a long look at it while you're studying, right? And then the idea is that you want to be able to have this information at your beck and call when you're doing sculpting, right? So this is the stuff that you're not really thinking about, but you're thinking about, you know what I mean? Let's bring that guy down a little bit. Okay, so it's going to connect to the clavicle here. Right about there. And actually this one I'm going to bring this way just a touch. Right. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. There's not a whole lot to it, but at least it kind of gives you the idea of the quality that that we're going for. All right. And then again, during the blockout stage, I try to get the stuff in, and then as I go, I'm going to adjust, right? Okay, so let's go grab another one. Actually, you know what? Let's just dupe this one here. Let's make another one. I'm gonna grab insert again. Grab this dude, split unmasked. Grab this guy, Dynamesh. Okay. And this is going to round out around the edge of the clavicle up here. Alright, I'm going to come in through here. I'm not too worried about the inside of the muscles and how they're laying on the skeleton. I'm more kind of about what the outside looks like right now. Again, this is just practice. It's just thinking about what the outside looks like. Alright, so let's actually, this has got to come out this way a little bit. And come into my inflate maybe. Bring that up. Yo, V-Chens, what's up, buddy? How are you, man? It's been a while, dude. I know, I every time I get back on doing streaming, I'm like, man, I really miss streaming. Yeah, I actually have done a lot of IRL sculpting. I started with the old plastiline, like the sulfurific plastiline, way back in the day, probably like 2003 is back when I started with it. Um, since then, I fell in love with Monster Clay, which is pretty much my favorite at this point. Man, that stuff's good. Okay. Start shaping this a little bit in here. And you guys do traditional clay? Okay. Again, just blocking in. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to get each muscle group just perfect. I'd rather kind of get everything in and then do it. Kind of. All right, so let's go BI. Grab this dude. Insert. Grab this dude. We'll grab another one here. Split unmasked. Grab that guy. Dynamesh. And then we'll move this guy. Alright, they're going to insert pretty much into the same spot. Plastilina's awesome. It's good. I'm actually really trying to find time to get back into doing traditional sculpting. It's just so tough. There's no, like, move and scale in traditional. Alright, so this is going to connect down through here. It's going to take pretty much most of the spine here. 3D printing count? No, not really. Unless you're doing like old school kit bashing like Star Wars used to do. Then maybe. Alright, so we've got a deltoid. I'm just going to leave that kind of how it is. It looks kind of ugly at the moment, but we're going to work with kind of everything as we get other stuff in here. That's how most of these projects are. They look like crap up until about the last, 20%. Alright, so the main thing I want to get right now is where they start and where they insert, right? Or vice versa. Versa. This is going to kind of go around here like this. I know, right? Symmetry? Dude, come on, there's no... Ugh, this is looking... Okay. Let's see if I can get this one looking okay. What's up, Wild Kitty? How you doing? Welcome. We're just doing some really quick and dirty anatomy studies. Just kind of how I go about refreshing my own memories of anatomy. There's a lot of different subjects that a lot of different people do when they're streaming here on the Pixelogic channel. Most of all, however, it's about ZBrush. ZBrush is freaking amazing. Alright, let's just go back. Alright, start to just tame this guy down a little bit here. Alright, so the next is going to be... let's throw the bicep in, and then probably the trapezius. Okay, so that's all connecting there. Sculptures. No, not sculptures. Although that did start some beautiful things. Okay, actually, you know what? Maybe let's just trim these guys down just a touch. We'll pull it back in just a little bit here. So trim dynamic is really good for kind of like cutting down some of this like more tubey looking areas. Let's go back to my trim dynamic. Yeah, that's my shtick, man. I love me some video game character design. ZBrush, I actually spend most of my time in ZBrush when I'm doing character work for video games. Alright, so let's do the bicep real quick. So where's the bicep? Where does it connect? Alright, so this is super, super important. So let's get rid of deltoid. Let's look at Biceps Brachii. Oh, yeah, you definitely got to get out of the Maya mindset. Definitely. Actually, you know what? When we take a quick break from this, I'll show you guys the last piece that I was working on in ZBrush for my character. Well, we can go over that. Alright, so Biceps Brachii. They call them biceps because it's actually two muscles, believe it or not. So the insertion points are actually on the ulna down here, right? Which makes sense because it's actually pulling your arm up, right? It's pulling your forearm and your wrist up. So it's got to have the leverage on the actual on the forearm, right? So it's gonna go. We'll throw it up into the knuckle of the humerus, and then we'll bring it down to the ulna, just below the knuckle. And for expedient purposes, we'll just do one, and then we'll do this kind of thing to it. Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. All right, we'll go BI for insert. We're just gonna go ahead and throw one on there. There we go. We'll do split unmasked points. By the way, if this is your guys' first time looking at ZBrush, pay no attention to all this stuff out here. There's a lot of buttons, and the normal UI does not look like this. It's much simpler. So pay no attention to the man, to the buttons behind the curtain. Alright, so let's do quick Dynamesh on these guys. Alright. So we're going to go down here. Alright, and then this is actually going to go all the way down to... Alright, so now it's important to notice the orientation of the wrist. Right, if we're looking at this one, the palm is up in this one because the radius, which on the outside, is continuing on the outside. The ulna is the one that is on the inside. So if you do palm up, the radius is on the outside, the ulna is on the inside. But if you do palm down at the elbow, it's still that way, but it's reversed in the at the wrist. So it's important to note that this one is palm up. Difference being that this one is a little bit of palm down, right? So it's not going to connect to this one out here, which is the radius. It's going to connect to the one inside here, which is the ulna. Alright, so let's bring that one in. Some book on characters suggests to create T-pose. Other use lower pose. Can I ask you to choose one of those pose? Go to animation. I think it really depends. It depends on the project that you're working on, or the company that you're working for, I guess you could say. If you do T-pose, you're okay. Honestly, if you use either one of them, you're okay. But if you're working in the industry, if you're actively working in a shop or something, I would go with whatever they use normally. The problem with T-pose for me is that when you move your arm up this way, you get a lot of compression in the deltoid. If you're more A-pose, which this one is actually not quite A-pose, if it was A-pose, it would probably be a little bit more out this way like this, and which is kind of the best for kind of like loose muscles, I guess you could say, or relaxed muscles all around. Right. So if you're going for T-pose, your arms up here and your deltoids are doing a lot of crazy compression. So it's a little bit. If you're going for more relaxed muscles all around, the A pose is better. But that being said, the A pose is further from like your arms being up. You know what I mean? So if the character is going to be doing a lot of like arms up like this, then you may want to start with the T pose, which is, you know, you're more mid-range between what's going on here and what's going on down here. You know what I mean? Ultimately, I would look at the rig, but it used to be a lot of T pose. Nowadays, it's a lot of A pose. But it depends on the project. It all depends on the project. Alright, so I'm just going to thin this out down here. But W pose. You would. Yep, that's exactly what's true. Lit Roove. This one, I threw the arms out just a little bit. You'll see here, they're down a little bit more from the original. I just pulled them up just a little bit, just so I can get in there. Yeah, no, not a problem. All right, so let's thin this out a little bit. Pull this up. All right, and then let's pull all this down. Okay, so this is going to be just a little bit wider in the middle here. This is going to go and connect towards the top of the humerus, which is going to be up there. The important thing to know here is like which muscles go over which, or which duck under, right? So if you want to look at where that is, right, well, in this case, let's just take a look at Rafker said he has a really good one on his gumroad, and I highly suggest picking up his gumroad. What I would do is just look at some examples, right? So your biceps are going to flow underneath your pec and your deltoid, and then see how it's going to connect up here, right? So one pulls off and connects through the knuckle, and the other one connects around the other side of the knuckle, the humerus. Oh yeah, anatomy is freaking awesome, man. I'm really kind of just being selfish and doing this because I'm kind of getting back on the bandwagon too. I've spent the last 3.5, 4 weeks doing job searching, and I've been out of practice myself, really. So this is kind of for you guys and for me. It works pretty good, you know. So this is gonna go underneath the pec, and the pec goes underneath the deltoid. All right, so that's what the deltoid is really doing here. Is it's coming around the clavicle, right? This piece is coming around the clavicle and then down and over the bicep, connecting to the humerus right around there. All right, so that's how you get like this really nice kind of like flow going on. Let's grab this guy. Let's pull him back out. Alright, so I'm going to work on overall proportions later, but really I just kind of want to get the overall, just the gist of the muscle and where it is. And then we'll go back and fix proportions and stuff later. What's really bugging me right now is all this empty space up here. So once I start kind of looking at the overall proportions, I really like having things not have huge holes in them like the trapezius is. So right now we're going to do the trapezius. Nothing. Kazel is just this is how I practice and refresh my own memory. I'll probably do this project maybe once a year for myself, just for a reminder, you know. The other thing too is that I'm going in and working on a lot of superhero stuff here pretty soon, so I really want to make sure that like I get nice and prepared for that gig that's coming up. So another reason why. So we'll go brush, I for insert, we're going to grab the primitives, and then this one we're just going to grab this guy. We're going to split, we're going to do a nope, not that one. Switch to this guy, we're going to do a dynamesh. And then, yeah, so the trapezius is probably one of my favorite muscles. It's a freaking crazy muscle. It does all kinds of crazy things. So, the trapezius, let's look at reference first. Alright, we'll get away from that one. We'll look at the trapezius. There we go. Trapezius is a crazy muscle. It goes like just crazy different directions, which is amazing, right? So like all the striations coming down this way, and then they come this way. They connect across the top of the spine of the scapula here, and then go all the way up and connect to the base of the head here. The other really cool thing is that it also wraps around to the clavicle in the front, which is crazy, right? So it connects here, goes all this way, right? Connects all the way up to the base up here, but it also connects. Let me see if I can find. Here we go. This is a good one. Right, so it also goes around and connects to the top of the clavicle on this side. Like, look at that. Isn't that just a crazy muscle? Like, it's just going all over the place. It goes like 180 degrees of striation direction, almost. Right, so it comes down here, it connects to about the middle of the spine, just below the rib cage. Right, comes up, curls around the spine of the scapula, attaches to the whole top of the spine, and then curls around and connects to the top of the clavicle. Isn't that crazy? It's nuts. So crazy. Do I create a skeleton? No, this skeleton is actually a little bit of a modification from the one that actually comes with ZBrush. So if you look at the Ryan Kinsling one, so if I just go into Lightbox Tool, it's just this one here, the Ryan Kinsling Anatomy one. And then from there I just selected the skeleton and erased everything else. But that one's also a really great model for just reference, right? Alright, so this comes in here. Okay, so the trapezius goes about some middle of the back, about almost where the ribs end here. So maybe we'll say right around there. Right, so it comes up this way. Comes up, wraps around the spine of the scapula. Like that, connects to the upper end, upper side of the scapula, of the spine of the scapula, excuse me. And then wraps, pretty much just fills this in here. Like that. That's the trapezius, right? And then we'll kind of just pull this in, connects to the base of the skull here. Right. And then depending on how much you work out, it may be, you know, this, or maybe this, or maybe this, you know? It really depends. Okay, let's redynamesh that guy. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sculpt in this side just a little bit, just to flatten it some. Okay, so this is going to wrap, kind of come in this way. Something like that. And then I like to come in with some trim dynamic and then just kind of knock some of this down a little bit so it's not too crazy here. Okay. Now obviously the inside, like I said, the inside of this, I'm not worried about all this stuff on the inside. All this stuff. I'm really just worried about what it looks like on the surface. Should I learn them by 2D drawing or 3D sculpting? I think it really depends on what your goal is. Are you planning on being a sculptor? Are you planning on being an illustrator? Hold on a second, guys. What do you have access to? Really, I think so. There's a lot of people that are, you know, like, oh, you should learn how to draw. Well, yeah, I think you should learn how to draw. I think the most important thing when it comes down to deciding whether you want to spend your time learning to draw or sculpt is two-part. One is, you know, what do you want to do? You know, are you planning on being a 3D person? Like do you like? Are you gonna work in games? Are you gonna work in film? You know, that kind of stuff. Or are you planning on being more like a illustrator, right? So think about the things that you want to do, and then focus like on that, right? So you want to sculpt. Oh, that's Craig. The other thing too is speed, right? So if your most important thing that you want to do is learn, go with what you know over what you have to learn for a tool, right? So let's say if you're really just kind of focusing on, I want to learn anatomy, but you don't know or have access to ZBrush, right? Well, you know, it's going to take a lot longer to get practicing and get up to speed on ZBrush than it is to learn the anatomy just by drawing, you know what I mean? So it's more speed and availability as well. The awesome thing about drawing is that, you know, you can come in and really just look at things super, super quick and draw them out really, really quick. Granted, a good 3D sculptor can do it really quickly as well, but when you're just starting out, you don't have that, you know, you're still learning the software. You learn how 3D works in digital. Like, ultimately, you have to go with what's easiest for you to get what you want the quickest, right? So if you want to learn anatomy, you don't know 3D, but you've done some drawing, maybe quicker to just do your learning through drawing. You know what I mean? But then, you know, you got to kind of look at it and, you know, well, do I want to spend the time drawing, or do I really want to also maximize my time and learn 3D as well? Well, then you may want to take the time and actually do that, you know? Yeah, so if you're doing concept, if you want to be a concept artist, you probably should know how to draw. That's really important. Okay, enough tweaking on this guy. So now when I got the base shape, I like coming in and just doing some of the striations, just to get an idea, just to show like the movement of the muscle fibers, right? So I'm just going to come in with my damn standard, and then just do just to show how this is kind of coming up. Right, the muscle direction is also really important. And then I want to make sure that I can see like the thickness is good through here. So it's going to come down and I want to be able to make sure that it comes just right over the spine. Right, so this is where you get that really nice kind of the really nice shapes, like coming out, and then back in to connect into the spine. Like that. Alright, trapezius. There we go. Looks a little bit better. So would you recommend us start training 3D even if we're not so good at drawing? Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you want to be working in 3D, if you're going to be more of like a kind of a production artist, I think that 3D is really good. I think it's really, really important to know. And probably the sooner that you start practicing it, the better, right? Because you can tackle both things at once. You can learn 3D, digital 3D, and learn anatomy at the same time, right? So if you can compound your learning into, multiple things at once, yeah, it may take a little bit longer to get good at both of them, but you're learning both of those things at the same time. So I would say if you're going to be concept or illustrator, that kind of thing, then I think drawing is super, super important. And making sure that you can draw is super important. If you're just going to be more 3D, like production, more of like a character artist, for production, then yeah, dude, just jump into 3D, I'd say. The hell with it, man. Okay. The next I want to do is fill in the rest of the neck area a little bit. So I'm going to go with the a little bit more of the neck muscle here. We're going to do the Sternocleidomastoid here. Okay, so I was looking at the trapezius. And from here we can see the Sternocleidomastoid, which is, excuse me, it's the one that goes directly from the base of the skull behind the ear down to the clavicle. Yes, I usually sculpt in perspective, although I forget all the time. Oh, look at that, I don't have it on. Ha ha ha. Boom! It's like the instant make your work look better button. You're like, oh, it looks pretty good. Oh my god, it looks so much better! Oh! That's another reason why I keep a lot of these buttons out on the in the space here, is so that I know if I have it on or not. Thanks for pointing that out. I always forget to turn that on and off. Okay, Sternocleidomastoid. So mastoid is on the bottom side of the skull, and the clavicle connects down here. Let's see if we can get a better one. I don't know, this one was actually pretty good. Here's from the front. Right, so it connects to the clavicle, and it connects to the sternum. Alright, so let's do that guy real quick. Yeah, you caught me with the perspective off. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here. We're going to do B for brush, I for insert. We're going to go back to my primitives. We're on circle here, or sphere. And then I'm just going to pull it out right here. Right, and then we're going to do split unmasked points. Grab to this guy, turn back on my Dynamesh. And then let's just go to town getting this bad boy into shape. What did we do before Dynamesh? Man, life was horrible before Dynamesh. Alright, so then maybe we'll just go back to inflate down here. Make sure this has got enough girth. Alright, let's bring this down to the clavicle. And let's turn this a little bit more this way. There we go. And sometimes if you're kind of really just kind of working against the grain here, you're not getting something working out very well, you could just grab the move and then just kind of turn it this way. Yeah, it is starting to look like a little bit like Terminator, isn't it? It's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to grab some more inflate here. I think I'm going to do the same thing down here. Just going to grab this. Is it that way? No, it was this way I needed to go. There we go. Let's redynamesh that. Let's bring everything back. There we go. Okay. You start at least getting the kind of the thickness of the neck. Inflate that guy a little bit more here. Yeah, usually I think I put it down to like 28. I think is a little bit closer to normalness. Alright, so something like that. At least so I can get some, when I'm looking at this, I can get an idea of what the thickness of the neck is looking like. Okay, so now let's continue. Let's get the couple of minor ones in here, the teres minor, teres major, and the infraspinatus. Infraspinatus? Watch your language around the ladies, sir! Alright, so trapezius. So let's look at. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, let's look at the Latissimus Dorsi. And then from here, I think it'll have the teres major, teres minor, and. Yeah, so this one is going to be spinatus. Infraspinatus. You watch your language around the ladies. Alright, so here's kind of what's going on. So this one always messed me up, right? So like I was doing the back, right? You know, like my early days anatomy, I was like, oh, okay, the trapezius is friggin' awesome, it's amazing. And then you got the latissimus dorsi that kind of wraps around, and I'm like, there's like this little hole where like this weird stuff going on. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. But this is actually pretty important. So you have the infraspinatus, which goes from the spine of the scapula on the inside here, and goes to the knuckle of the humerus, right? And then you have the teres major, which goes underneath the infraspinatus and connects on the underside. It like goes inside the humerus and wraps around to the front. And then the teres minor kind of lives, it's really weird. So it lives underneath these two, but it comes out to this side, right? So I'm going to hide the deltoid. Oh, the supraspinatus. Oh, yeah. There's a little muscle right there, too. Oh, interesting. I learn stuff all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the deltoid, and we're going to get these three muscles working correctly. And that will make this little pocket much, much better. So let's grab these guys. Let's turn those guys off, those guys. It's probably a good idea to just go and name these things, but meh. It's just practice right now. I would suggest naming them if you're doing them. Okay, so let's do this. Let's grab him. Let's go brush, insert, grab my primitive, and then I'm just going to grab this dude here. We're going to split unmasked points. We're going to go grab this dude, and we're going to do Dynamesh. Alright, so the infraspinatus goes the majority, actually, of the the edge of the scapula here. Yes. Super, super important. Alright, and then this is going to come and connect to the knuckle of the humerus. Okay. This is going to come up like this. Alright, so knock that one out first. Okay. Let's redynamesh that, and then let's actually knock that down just a touch. I don't want it so thick here. These muscles tend to be pretty thin. Okay, so there's that one. We'll come in, we'll add the teres major. So brush, insert. Grab this guy. Pull him here. Split unmasked. Grab this guy. Dynamesh. Okay. So the important thing is that this one is going to connect here, but what it does is it actually folds in and connects on the inside of the humerus, which is crazy. I'm just going to flatten this guy a little bit. Right? So what it does, it leaves like this little area in here. So let's maybe just go to flatten here. Flatten this guy out. Back to move. It's there. And it's important to note that this guy is actually on top of the teres minor, or the teres major. Sorry. Right, so you got this kind of thing going on. Right, so this one goes to the outside, this one curves around and connects to the inside of the humerus there. Now, the cool one is the teres minor, which kind of splits those differences. Alright, so let's go brush, insert, grab this guy. We're going to pull another one here. Let's do split unmasked points, grab this one again, Dynamesh. Alright. So now this guy will actually connect a little bit lower on the head, but it's going to duck underneath both of those. Probably should have done this one first, but oh well. Alright, just going to push this one down. Let's redynamesh that guy. So now what you're doing is when you're thinking about this, this is how you're getting that really cool kind of like overlapping look. Okay, so that one goes there. Let's pull this one up. No, this guy. Okay, and this guy comes like that. Something like that. Right, now when we go back and turn on our deltoids, right, now you've got this nice little thing happening. This one actually has to come up this way a little bit more. So this one ducks underneath this one here. Something like that. Those deltoids are really big back there. Let's see if we can bring these guys in just a little bit. This deltoid's way too big back here. Right. So then, when we put in the Latissimus Dorsi, which comes in through here, which comes in back through here like this, that's when you get like this really cool, like there's like a little triangle of hole, which happens, which is pretty cool. This all comes over, so let's pull this out a little bit. All right, so all this comes over that whole mess, a slew of stuff. Actually, this comes down a little bit more. This thins out a little bit more up here. There we go. Just kind of gives you that little space here. And this guy is actually just a little bit bigger. Just got this guy a little bit too flat. I'm going to give him just a little bit more curve out this way. There we go. Alright, so that's how that little piece works. Right? So now let's do the latissimus, the lats. Yeah, Latissimus Dorsi. Any tips for anatomy for noobs? Reference. You don't know this unless you follow reference a lot. The other thing to know is insertion points. I think insertion points are super important to know, right? Like where does the muscle connect to the bone? Why is it doing what it's doing, right? So like when you look at anatomy, when you look at people's shoulders, you know, like deltoids, why do they have this space? You know, why is there this usually this big indent in between the deltoids and the pectoral, right? Well, it's because that's where, you know, that's where different muscles are. Or they're, come on, thank you. Right, so you've got the pectoral coming underneath this guy, right? And then you got the deltoid coming over and around your muscles here, right? So that's why you have a large divot here in more muscular people, right? Because you got the deltoid that's rolling over and so on. So I think insertion points is really... Oh, Oh, that zygo body. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Okay, so let's do the lats real quick. That'll start filling a little bit more of this back. Alright, so let's look at Latissimus Dorsi, which is this one here. So, when we're looking at the lats, there we go. So it's really, really another crazy muscle, right? So all this whole sheet of muscle all accumulate so that it connects to some ribs in here. I mean, this is all usually kind of like underneath stuff. I don't worry too much about where the lats connect up here when I'm doing the backside. It's more when I'm doing the front serratus muscles is when I want to look at where a lot of these connections come in. For the most part, you're looking at just, right, so it's going to be underneath the traps, the trapezius, kind of more in the center of the back, right? So it's going to connect all the way down to your sacrum, and then it's going to connect through the iliac crest of your hips. And all of this accumulates all up through here and connects actually on the inside of your humerus on the other side. It's crazy, right? And that's how you get like that rowing motion. Yeah, actually, this is another good one here. Right, it all comes up. You can see the infraspinatus, the teres major here, and all this comes up underneath and connects to the inside of the humerus. Okay, so let's do that real quick. How are we looking on time? An hour left. Okay, so let's do insert. Grab that. We'll do split unmasked. I'm gonna go grab back to this guy. Do Dynamesh. Get to move. Okay, so it's going to go somewhere around here. Okay, I'm going to pull this in. Okay, this is all going to come up in here. It's going to go on the outside. Let's turn on ghosting. Alright. So this is going to connect on the inside up there. Like this. Isn't that crazy? It connects to your arm. So awesome. Alright, so then this is going to come down. All this is going to connect in here. Oh, sure, yeah, no, not a problem. So if you go into transformation, it's right here. Transparent, sorry. I just I changed it to Shift V for my shortcut. So I changed solo to V, and then Shift V for me is transparency. Oh yeah, no, not a problem, man. You guys are more than welcome to ask those questions. Absolutely. I know my my setup here is a little bit crazy, so I'm always happy to tell you where things are if you don't know where they are. So definitely feel free to ask. It's totally fine. Alright, so this comes out. It's going to come in a little bit more here. Alright, now what is this silhouette actually doing? Alright, so I'm just going to connect these and then re-dynamesh it so it's all one piece. So re-dynamesh, okay, all one piece now. Cool. That's what I want. It's hard to get started with ZBrush. No, it's actually pretty easy. If you guys are interested in trying, there is a free trial. I think it's a 45 days, I think. You can find that button uh, on this page, actually. If you scroll down, there's a trial button. What I would do is go to zclassroom.com. They have ZBrush has put together an absolutely amazing experience for learning ZBrush. And there's so much content out there for learning ZBrush. It's absolutely amazing. So I think the thing is just patience and time is really the toughest thing about learning ZBrush. Just having the patience. It's a little bit different than other 3D packages. So just be patient with it. But give it time because it is absolutely amazing. Okay, so we've got kind of this coming in a little bit more this way. I want to make sure that I get the silhouette correct, right? That's all coming up through there. Yeah, and don't be intimidated by my interface. My interface is absolutely crazy. Okay, so this usually comes up. Now this is what I was talking about that cool, crazy, like empty triangle that happens. And actually, I think the traps could come this way a little bit more. I think it actually may be just a touch too long as well. Come up. You know, if you want to get super crazy into it, you look into where the exact insertion points are for like the bottom. You know, like which vertebrae does it connect to? I'm not going to go so crazy. I'm really just kind of, eyeballing things a little bit more. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about, is that cool little empty triangle that happens. There's some subdermis, some smaller muscles and ligaments and stuff that go underneath to fill in this gap, but a lot of times that's what like this cool little triangle that happens is the angle of the scapula coming through here, the angle of the trapezius with the angle of the latissimus dorsi. Yes. Don't quote me exactly, but it's got most of the ZBrush core has most of the stuff that ZBrush has, like minus like array mesh and nano mesh and fiber mesh and kind of a lot of more of the upper echelon of crazy stuff. But for the most part, it has a lot of the same. All right. So now we got that going on, which is good. Let's get back into the triceps and the brachii, and we'll fill out the rest of the arm here. Okay. So now I think is a good time to kind of start adjusting some of the deltoid mass here. Does ZBrush Core have live Boolean? I don't think it does it? I don't know. That's a good one though. Man, that's a good reason to update. Come on. Thank you. Okay. So I'm looking at the deltoid. This actually comes out a little bit more like that. Oh yeah, no, I was talking about the difference between the full version and the ZBrush Core. Okay, so let's look at let's look at the tricep and how it factors into all of this, because that's super important for filling in the rest of this gap here. Let's pull this up a little bit more. I'm going to go back into transparent real quick and just pull this up. Only regular Boolean. But there's Dynamesh though, right? In ZBrush Core? Pretty sure there's Dynamesh. Okay, cool. Yeah. But ZBrush Core is a really is a good way to get started if you don't want to go the full package. But honestly, I paid full price for ZBrush. It was one of my first purchases, and it was the best money I've spent, I think, hands down. Besides the ring for my wife. I always got to put that one in there. Okay. I'll actually pull this in just a little bit. Okay, so let's look at the triceps. You know what? Let's save this first. I have not saved. We'll do whip. Okay. Okay. No, she's not watching at this point. Oh, I missed a question up there. Started learning ZBrush 45 days ago, and I'm getting a hang of it. Love the streams like these. Learning Blender 2 years and mastered it. No, but got me nowhere job-wise. Thank you for the streams like these. Absolutely, man. I think, it really depends on what you're going for. Just because you know a software doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get you a job. It's really about how you use the software to make badass art, right? Alright, we're going to look at triceps. Alright, insertion points, right? So the inside one is going to connect to the inside of the bottom of the clavicle, and the outside one connects to just under the knuckle of the humerus, right? The other important thing to note is that it connects to the ulna down here. She's right behind me. She's always watching. Nah, she's awesome. Okay, so so insertion points up here, and then all kind of accumulates down into the knuckle of the ulna. Tumbleweed. Moving on. No. She's awesome. She's a video gamer anatomy nurse. She's amazing. Okay. So let's get back to this guy. Where are we on? No. I'm going to go back to this guy. Okay, so we do brush, insert, grab my primitives. We're just going to do that. We're going to do split unmasked points. We're going to go back to this guy, do Dynamesh, go back to move, and then we'll start pulling this up. No, she's not right behind me. Actually, she is, because she's always got my back. Oh, snaps. Like how I pulled that one in? That was good. Alright, so this is going to duck underneath here, right? Okay, and this is going to actually kind of come down and connect to here. Aw, shucks. You're good. Oh, you're good. Alright, so it's going to bow out here. It's going to thin out up here. Pull that. Important things to note for silhouette is when you're looking straight on with somebody who has fairly muscular um, and anatomy and low fat content, a lot of times you're going to see the triceps and the brachii, which is the one in the middle here, um, over the bicep, right? So you're going to get this kind of happening like that. Right, so that's ducking in underneath the deltoids. Like at this. Right? There we go. Look at that. Look, we got anatomy. Ha 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 ha. In our college anatomy class, major skeleton. Yep, that was mine. I took a drawing for animation class actually. I had to learn and draw all of the bones in multiple poses. I also had to learn and draw all of the form-defining muscles in the body, including the face. I had to know them and be able to draw them in multiple poses and multiple angles. Yeah, it sucked, but man, I learned my stuff. That's for sure. Alright, so usually when I get the major block in, I usually will just come in and just do a little bit of sculpting in here. Right, this is going to flatten out down there. Right, and then the way that the muscles come is this way. Like this. And then this way. Like that. Cool. That's good enough for now. I need to do myself something to catch up with my anatomy. Yeah, I mean, I try to do this at least once a year. I'll sit down and just we'll redo this, and it's great because you know you've got the skeleton already sitting there, right? You don't have to actually do the skeleton. So Ryan Kinsling was great enough to do that awesome model for everybody to use. So I would say use it. Use it. It's also important to look at like the overall shape of the muscle. So a lot of times the bulk of the inside of the tricep will be down here, and the bulk of the outside of the tricep will be up here. Yeah, depending on where you look at it. Or depending on which drawing you're looking at too, right? So another thing to keep in mind is that all of this reference is all interpretations as it is, right? Like if I'm looking at it, I'm looking at this is somebody else's interpretation of what's going on, right? So you're studying from interpretations, so it's good to just kind of keep that in mind as you're doing this. I think labeling them can be important. I think just for personal knowledge. I think maybe this comes out a little bit too far up here. All right, so now you start getting the overall shape of the arm. Or this, I think, needs to come out more this way. There we go. That's feeling a little bit better. Yeah, it's really just commonality, right? So if I'm like talking to an art director, or if I'm talking to another artist, I'm like, oh yeah, the deltoids are way too small. Right? You're like, oh no, those little nubs on this part is a little bit too small. You know, the little thing, you know, the three things. So yeah, it's just commonality is really important to be able to kind of communicate. Okay. We're getting it. Spectre. Yeah, right. But Bill. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So now we'll do the other major muscle of the upper arm is the brachii or the brachialis, and that's the one that lives underneath. It actually come. Hold on a second. I got an alarm going off. Yes, I'm awake. Yes, I'm awake, guys. My phone doesn't apparently know that I'm awake. But there's a muscle that lives underneath the bicep, which is called the brachialis, or the brachii, if you're doing more than one. All right, let's look at that one. Oh, where is it? Triceps. Let's look at biceps, and I think it should come up. Brachialis is actually what it is. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just, if it's not showing up, I'll just do Brachialis. There we go. So this is the one that actually lives underneath the bicep, right? And this is the one that you can see kind of on the side. So what it does is it connects about halfway up the humerus and then connects just about the same spot as the biceps do. But the important part is that it fills in the side of your of the muscle, right? So that it fills in the gap in between the bicep and the triceps here. So it goes underneath the deltoid, and then you have the other brachial extensors. Extensors? Yeah, the extensors. Right, so that's the middle of the arm. All right, so then let's do that. So go brush, insert, grab this one. Just gonna pull this guy out here, split, unmask, grab this guy, Dynamesh, and then let's get to work placing this guy. So he's gonna be about the middle of the humerus, which is right around where the deltoids insert, right? So this is gonna go underneath the deltoids, more towards the back of the deltoid, right? And we see, so that's how you get like this really cool folding happening in here. Is right, you get the direction of the deltoids coming in through here, and they insert in between the brachialis and the biceps, right? That's how you get like this cool like insertion happening. So let's do that. Yeah, right? Like it's like I know anatomy, but you're like, you know, eventually I should probably take that test again. It's just to kind of refresh everything. Right? So let's bring this in here. All right, we'll grab this guy. We're going to bring him in here like this. This is really good. I mean, I also have to force myself to do this as well every couple of years. It tends to be tedious, but it's really, really super, super important for just keeping up to date and remembering how things go, right? So this is all, just by knowing all this stuff, this is the stuff that happens in the back of your head whenever you're drawing or whenever you're sculpting, right? You're like, oh, right, the brachialis is actually in there, right? It's got this thing, like it lives in between, right? And you got, from the front, okay, you're gonna see a little bit of that as it's coming through. You know what I mean? Like, oh, right, okay, yeah, I totally forgot about that. Right, and then that is what actually pushes a lot of the bicep up in here, right? Because it's this here, it's laying more against the humerus, but as it comes down, right, it has to come over the brachialis muscle, which comes in and connects down here as well. Right, so that's why you have a lot of like this kind of forward movement in the bicep here. Like, oh yeah, that's why. Oh, okay. Oh, right. Right, then that kind of comes over as well, like this. Right, and the tricep actually comes a little more forward like this. And it wraps around a little bit more. So that's a good question. Good topic is like, how do you do stylized stuff? Well, the stylized stuff is really you have to know your anatomy even more with the stylized stuff. Because you have to be able to take what's realistic and then bend that believably around something that's more unrealistic. You know what I mean? It's more exaggerated. So even though you're doing stylized work, like, I think it's more important to know your anatomy when you're doing stylized work. Right, exactly. Yes. So I would say learn your anatomy first. And I think a lot of the guys that do more stylized stuff would agree that, like, anatomy is super important. You got to be super solid on that to be able to create believably exaggerated versions of it. You know what I mean? Okay, that's all inserting down to the ulna down there. Okay. So let's actually flatten this guy out just a touch. Ashen, what's up, buddy? Oh, well, yeah, it's just like learning to be observative. Observative. Yeah, that's a word, right? I'm a visual artist, not a verbal artist. Yeah, man, how you been, dude? Okay, so this is also really important here. This interaction, um, because what you're getting through here is you're also going to have your extensors and like the muscle that connects. Let me see if I can find it. Let's look at forearm muscles. Maybe this one's good. All right. So you're going to have your extensors. They actually connect to your humerus right there, right? So here's your brachii, the brachialis, right? And then you've got that little space of the humerus that's exposed. That's where your actual your extensors that run down the middle of your forearm into your wrist. That's where that actually connects there, and that's where you got like this really cool interaction in between the forearm and the bicep. That one's really weird. I don't like that one at all. I don't like it. Which one was I looking at? Oh, here you go. All right. So we want to look at Extensor Carpi. Let's look at that real quick. Is it on here? What is it? Extensor Carpi. Let's just do Carpi. Let's look at these ones. All right, so this is a good, I guess, it's a decent one. Oh, the forearm muscles are so crazy. Let's see if we could find one that's actually pretty good. All right, so that's these ones here. So you got one that connects and goes down this way, and you got another one that connects at the end of the humerus and comes down, right? So you've got these two major ones. And that's where that that space on the humerus comes in. This little space right here. So that's super important. Super important. I'm always happy when I inspire people to do anatomy. So I don't feel bad, Spectre. It's so important. All right. Okay, so let's get those extensors going. And tips for portraiture. Yeah, yeah, definitely head anatomy. I would honestly, I was actually thinking about doing the facial anatomy instead of the torso anatomy for this stream. I was actually thinking about doing that. Maybe I'll do that for the next one. I am going to be on next Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. So maybe we'll do facial muscles next Monday. What do you guys think? Should we do facial muscles? Or we could do legs. Facial muscles. I'm getting a lot of yes for facial muscles. I know, right? No, face. So no on the face? Okay, maybe I'm thinking face muscles might be kind of good. Yeah, legs are really, really cool, man. I mean, just the thigh is just so freaking cool. Like everything that goes on in here from the hips down to the patella, so freaking cool. Okay. All right, sorry. I'm getting sidetracked. All right. Let's Oh, you mean no legs, no just face. Gotcha. No, I was just messing with you. I know what you meant. All right, so brush, insert. Go my primitives. Let's make sure I'm on this guy. There we go. So let's just pull it here. Strongest muscle in the body is the masseter, I believe. Split unmasked points. Let's go back to this guy. We'll do Dynamesh real quick. Go back to my move tool. Alright, so then let's grab this. Alright, so then what do we say it goes down to? It goes like literally all the way down here. All the way down here. Especially when it gets cold outside. Or you get scared, right? It's clinch factor. Alright, so it's really more of a ligament down here, so I'm not going to really kind of get in too much, but the bulk of the muscle is actually up here. Alright. So, another really important thing is that you can see, usually, your humerus. So this actually curls in and out and around. Like that. Something like that. Let's actually pull it this way just a hair more. Up through here. Alright, so this one actually comes down here. Clinch factor. I actually thought the strongest muscle in the body was your masseter, which is the one just outside your jaw and your mandible. Okay, so this is good. And then we're going to go ahead and do the second one right next to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this one. Alright, so let's just go in here and we'll just duplicate that one. And then we'll just move it over. It's cheating. It's cheating. Yeah, look at that. Haha. Haha. A little millhouse for you. Alright, so then we've got this one that comes... Alright, the bulk of it is actually down here, though. This is thinner up here. There we go. All right, so that's the, so this is when you're looking at the overall silhouette of the forearm. This is the bulk that you see up here. Is actually the extensors, like that. And there's a whole nother slew of constrictors. These are extensors because it helps you extend your hand like this, right? That's these ones right here, connect up here. And then the contractors are all this one, all this stuff down here. You can see that, right? So like when you contract your hand, that's all this stuff down here. Yeah, that's Nelson. Ha ha. So maybe we'll just do that real quick. So let's look at, I usually will just do like forearm, let's see, forearm contractors. Contractor muscles. Alright, let's look at images. Alright, so we're looking at, alright, so these are the contractors, right? We're looking at the inside of the right arm, inside of the left arm. Alright, so then these are the extensors that we were just doing, and then we've got the contractors that come in from here, and then we'll just, you know, there's like 3 or 4 of them, 4 I think. And these are the ones that create those cool 2 little like ligament looking pieces here. So usually I'll just do like one kind of bulk one right in here, right? You can see the biceps come in through there. Is it the flexor? Is that what they call it? I always forget if it's the contractor or the flexor. But anyways, just think about what it actually does, right? So when these contract, like your hand opens, right? When these contract, your hands close, right? It's tough not making Arnold every single time. It's really tough. Flexors. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. See, that's why I have you guys around. Like, little did you know, the reason why I'm actually doing this is so that you guys could tell me where my mistakes are. The stuff I don't actually remember doing. Damn it, I gave my secret away. Alright, so let's go brush, insert. I'm going to grab this dude. I'm going to pull him right about here. Yeah, maybe. It really depends. Like, the reason why I do this is just for studying. So if I feel like I've completed enough study, then maybe I'll stop. But I'm kind of using this to help you guys out, to kind of inspire you guys to do anatomy work, as well as you know, getting me kind of back on board with it as well. So it's a little bit of kind of two-factor. Alright, so we got I'm just going to do the bulk of the flexors here. Alright, and they're going to connect to the inside of the here, right? And you got a bunch of other forearm muscles that come through here. I'm not going to do all the forearm muscles. I really just want to do kind of the overall form defining ones, the silhouette defining for front. Alright, let's just make this super thin in here. Yes, these ones here are extensors, right, to help extend the hand. And then these ones are flexors down here to kind of contract, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, this is, I'm just kind of looking at the overall silhouette of what the forearm should be doing. right? Which is something like this, right? And then actually, this silhouette is not looking that good. So I'm just gonna flex that out a little bit. There we go. It's a little bit better. So that's kind of what the major parts of the arm is doing. Right, so that's where you're seeing a lot of this alternate silhouette shapes come in. Right, you see, this side the extensors coming out, and the bulk of the flexors is down here, like that. Yeah, exactly, Dave. It's quite a controversial topic. I spent way too much on it as well. Okay, let's do abdominals real quick. Start filling in some of this area. So we're starting to get things blocked out more. Cool. Yeah, let's do abdominals, and then we'll do obliques in there as well too. Okay, so let's look at Rectus Abdominis. Where am I seeing it? Brachialis. Let's see down there. So let's do this. Let's just look at anatomy. There we go. I think the good thing about structured class is that it is structured, right? And you're looking at having things do and getting you to actually do the work. So for a lot of people, it's really good. Other people, I think you can kind of get away with doing things more on your own end. Let me just make sure that I'm not showing anything mature here for a second before I get us kicked off of Twitch. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find something good here. Whoa, you want to get into some really cool stuff. Ooh, yeah, that might be a little bit too much. And you guys see the body exhibit stuff that was really popular about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Alright, let's look at maybe insertion points. So abdominal muscles, anatomy, insertion points is where I'm looking at. Alright, here we go. This is a little bit better. Alright, so I want to see where the abs actually connect to Yo, Ash, what's up? How you doing? What up, girl? Okay, so the obliques come down and attach to the front of the iliac crest, and then we're attaching to there. Yeah. Okay, let's just pull that sheet in there. Pull that sheet in there. Thanks, Ash. What's up? How you been, man? I have been off grid for a while. So I haven't been around. So it's good to see you. What up? Okay, so let's grab. I think we'll probably just do the abdominals next, and then we'll probably call it. Maybe answer a couple of final questions, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, I've been busy. Very busy. Let's go brush insert. Let's just grab something like that. We'll do split unmask. We're gonna grab those guys. We'll do some Dynamesh, and then let's just start pushing and pulling here. Right, so we're gonna connect mainly to the rib cage here, and I'm just gonna re-Dynamesh this so it's all one piece. Okay, and so then this is gonna come down. Alright, so this is gonna be like this. Alright, so we're probably gonna, it's gonna come out, so I'm just gonna make a little bit of like artistic choices here and say it's going to come out just a little bit here where it's connected. We're gonna sink in just a little bit where kind of all the guts are. You don't have a lot of the skeletal system there, and then we're gonna connect down here, and then let's just widen this up just a little bit. Right, so we're gonna come out like this. It's gonna come in a little bit. Alright, so we've got kind of like this abdominal wall here. Abdominal wall. Okay, and come out this way. Yeah, something like that, right? Let's re-Dynamesh real quick, and then let's just kind of come in and do where the actual muscles would be. Right, so you got one here, one here. Okay, where is the navel when it comes to this? Navel, I think, is usually under the third, right? So you got one up here. Let's do this. Let's bring this one up just a little bit higher. This one up just a little bit higher. Alright, so you got that, and then the navel is right around there. There we go. Alright, and then usually right around the navel is where you get this kind of coming back out a little bit, and then from there we usually come back in and connect down into the pelvis. Right, so you got like this nice kind of like sag coming in through here, right, where it's coming off of the hard surface, I guess you could say. Hard surface. And then again, we've got kind of like this sag coming in through here, and then we have just a little bit of that coming out there, like that. Right? Abdominals. Alright, then let's look at the obliques real quick. The obliques will continue down into the crest down there. Okay, so we'll do the obliques and then we'll call it. So we're going to start wrapping this up, guys and gals. If you have any other questions in the next couple of minutes. So there's the Rectus Abdominis, which is a sheet of muscle that's all connected that will do this. And then you've got the obliques, which will be kind of the rest of this sheet, but they technically are another muscle group, but they're connected by a thin sheet of stuffs. So I like, for me personally, I like having the abdominal muscles and the obliques separated. So let's actually do that real quick. So let's go back to this guy, brush, insert, grab that. We're going to go ahead and just do one like that. We'll do split unmask, grab this guy, do Dynamesh, go back to my move tool, and then we'll just come in here. Alright, so like the first part of this, come in here like this. Right, so they're usually connected by a very thin sheet of ligaments, I guess you could say. No, not ligaments. I don't know what you would call it. Right, so this is really cool is that, right, you know, when you're really ripped, right, you get like this like nice, like, I don't know what you call them, pointers, whatever you want to call it. You got this kind of like nice movement coming through. Right? And that's where you got this really cool line that comes in, right? And then you've got the gluteus medius and everything else that fills in all of this side. But really where the obliques connect to the iliac crest in the front here is where you get that really nice kind of line, I guess you could say. We'll call it a line for now. The V, yes. The V. Ashley, you know what I'm talking about. That's the actual medical term for it. It's called the V. Confirmed. Alright, so the question is, like, what does it do up here, right? Like, so what I would do is, for this area, I'd spend a lot more time trying to really figure out what's going on in this area. You know, what are the muscles that come in through here? The serratus muscles, the Batman muscles. What ribs do they actually connect to, and that kind of stuff. So let's look a little bit more at the obliques real quick, just to see if we can get some better insertion points here. Okay, so it's going to end up coming back, right? So it's going to go about halfway through and connect about to where the Latissimus Dorsi is, right? So it's going to wrap around and it's going to connect up into the ribs up here. So let's just do that real quick. Alright, so it's going to come around back through there. It's going to come up here. And it's going to connect up through the ribs. And so on and so forth, right? Something like that. Right, depending on how skinny you are, how skinny you're not, how much fat you have on your bones, how much muscle you have, all kinds of stuff. Depends on a lot of stuff. Alright, so maybe this comes up in here. Alright, so usually when I'm doing studying like this, I'm really just trying to focus on the overall form-defining muscles, right? So let's actually bulk this up just a little bit in here. Oh, fit. Sorry. My apologies. Alright, so I think that's probably a good place to stop for today. Got a lot of stuff kind of bulked out. And again, really, it's not super, you know, I'm no Scott Eaton. It's really just using this for your personal gain, you know, studying and remembering where things connect and and how they interact with each other, and like what do the forms look like? Why are there's like those weird like overlapping things here and there? Okay, right. I remember now that the trapezius goes over the latissimus dorsi. Okay, the triceps duck underneath the back of the deltoids here. We've got like this really nice stuff going on there. Okay, the brachial muscle does this, all kinds of stuff, right? So it's really just kind of more for my own personal gain. So just kind of remembering all that, and knowing what ducks in where and how, and that's really the most that I'm trying to get out of this whole exercise. I'm not trying to make a production model. I'm just studying. So it's important to keep those things in mind, and keep an eye on what you're doing, and why you're doing it. You don't want to spend a bunch of time doing something that it's not part of the original exercise. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just kind of remembering how things go and how things interact, where they connect, and kind of going from there. So there was a lot of requests for facial anatomy the next round. So I think we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it on the face. The skull. The skull. Alright, anyways. Yeah. Awesome. So next Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to go over the facial muscles, and we'll do the same for the head. Thank you guys for all the awesome questions. Thanks for sticking around. If you're interested in trying out ZBrush and you haven't yet, there is a trial. Check out the information on the bottom of the Twitch page here, or on ZBrushLive.com. If you're interested in learning more, go to ZBrush. Z Classroom is really good, and definitely stick around for more awesome streamers on the channel. So thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next week. Rock on. Hope you guys had fun. Hope you guys learned a couple of things, but most of all, I hope you're inspired to go make your own cool stuff. So do it. Know your anatomy. All right, guys. Take it easy.